So welcome to our March 15th EAB meeting. We're reviewing the minutes and I will share. So I know Andy and Ben, you guys said corresponded on an update change. Is that still to be made?
I was gonna say, yeah, it looks like it. And
Oh yeah.
I guess we had. Go ahead.
No, I see it. I see now. You're right. It hasn't changed. Yeah, Ben did say he would update those.
Yeah, that's right. I received the comments. I haven't made the changes yet, but I agree with them.
Yeah, Bill, I guess we go with the official recording, but I mean, I thought we voted on decision to proceed on the plastic bag ordinance request to council, right? I mean, that was a vote. He didn't view it that way. I don't know.
Yes, we did. We did vote on that. So you're right. I think that would be good to record in this section here where you talked about the discussion. You could say, the board voted to present board voted in favor of presenting the proposal to the council. That'd be terrific. Minor one, I think Penn Environment is one word normally, just because it's an organization. I guess I can do that. All right, sounds good. So any other comments? I think everything else looks good. So given that we'll be making those updates, do we have a motion and a second to go ahead and adopt them given the changes that will be made?
I can make a motion that with those changes to approve.
And a second. Well, I guess I can second. You can put my name in there. Welcome, Carolyn. All right, so then let's go back to our agenda. So we, I just wanted to do this quick debrief on the EAC Network Conference. Was well attended, and there were a lot of good comments, of course, through the chat and discussion after each of the presentations. Ben, you were on, I think, most of the day. Who else? Anyone else from our group?
I didn't make it.
Yeah, but it was well attended. So if you have a chance, I know it's a lot to have to go back through recordings and such, but there were some good topics that were discussed. And in the afternoon, I did review the Ready for 100 presentation by Henry Alexander, Joy Berge, Jim Wiley, and Paula. And that was well done. So it kind of gives us a summary of where that effort is in the region. So that's come and gone already. Wow, it's hard to believe. What are we now? Almost 2.5 weeks past. Time is flying. So our main topic for tonight is the, maybe I'll just mention the tree planting on Saturday, 23rd, and Township Day on Saturday, the June 4th. I think with the approval by the council, we are okay with going forward to send out the communication in the residential sewer bills. And if we get our draft cover message that can be inserted in the bill, we'll be good to go. And I guess I forgot to ask to do a separate mailing to businesses. Lynn, did you guys happen to discuss that?
We did not, Bill, but I can raise that with the council.
Yeah, because I think it'd be powerful to send it out to all stakeholders in the township at the same time, because it just sounds like it'd be something that would be fair, and we wouldn't get any pushback to say, well, how come they learned about it before we learned about it? And so
Right.
if we could coordinate it, I know it has to be our own mailing, because I know the business bills are sent through a different service organization, and they probably won't do that for the township. So it may be that the township will have to ask for an export of all the addresses from that group, and then prepare our own mailing, or whether they would do it or not. But that's what Rick thought we might have to do. So yeah, that would help if we could coordinate that. I think the residential bills go out April 15th. So we would want to get our draft cover on by the 30th. So we've got about a week, 2 weeks to finish that. And I don't think it'd be a lot to do, because I think the insert for the sewer bill doesn't have to be the whole communication. I think it can be a real just short, like a half page or something like that's not foldable, and could just be a card or a piece of paper that goes in the bill, and just as a kind of catchy message, and say, hey, we're doing something about plastics. Please click on this link to look at the proposal or the study.
So the communication one, I think, document was not what you intended to include with that mailing?
Yeah, I think just because, I guess the way I presented it to council was, rather than printing two-sided print, and I don't know, we can discuss it, but I guess I was thinking that it would be less costly to just have a link to the do a half sheet, or a sheet that would just fit right in the sewer bill as one piece of paper. And that, but you're right. Is it easier for somebody to just read it? Pull out the piece of paper and read it. Maybe it could be on a different color paper. So I guess
I think people will ignore if we have a printed link. If this was an email communication, then, but it's given that it's paper, I think you have to give it to people, or they're just going to ignore it.
Well, we could at least do it as a QR code, right? Not a link.
Well, if you're sending it to businesses, right? Especially for like businesses, they're going to give it to their accountant or whoever. They're not going to read it at all, and it's going to affect them a lot. So I think we need to think carefully about how do we make sure that, something that is really going to impact businesses in particular is communicated in a way that's as accessible as it can be.
Yep, I kind of agree too. All right, so we'll have to get that costed out for the township to print that many pages for our sewer bill count. I don't really know. We'll have to find out what our sewer bill count is. And the cost to print and insert. So part of this was the idea of the short insert was to reduce the labor. I don't know how the sewer bill gets mailed. I was thinking it would probably, that's a good question. It's probably not a manual process, right? It's probably just something they print and there's an automatic mailing process. Guess that's a good question we'll have to ask, find out how that's done. So
I can get an answer to that, Bill.
And Lynn, do you think there would be any concerns about whether we do it one way or the other? I mean, if the better way is to print it, so two sheet piece of paper, so it'd be a two double-sided, would be front and back, And if we have to use colored paper, probably good to get a quote on that. So I guess I'm hoping that we still have time for this to get in the mail before the end of the month. Sounds like there's a bit to coordinate there.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, I think the issue might be, I mean, the only issue might be cost, like if it's going to change the price of mailing. But you were already projecting a half sheet. Now you're saying a full sheet, two-sided. It's not two pieces of paper. It's a single piece of paper. I can ask some of those questions and see if we can get some answers.
That'd be great. Yep, that'd help us understand, what we're facing and what's the preferred way to go. So this is the communication that we have prepared. Has anyone had a chance to review it? Are you okay with it?
Yeah, I reviewed this. I have a few comments. So I thought that I'm trying to look at it quick here, but I mean a little more clear examples of what we're thinking about looking into ordinances on. Kind of you just kind of state we're investigating ways. I mean I think we're leading down the path of the ordinance, right? So I think we would want to state that. Like we were just talking about, I mean, they're going to get a hard copy here. You've got at this link noted there, right? So that's not going to work. So, I mean, it would either have to be like the printed out website address or a QR code would probably be the most convenient for residential people, at least. I did feel it was a little bit long, but I mean, I guess it depends, you got to weigh you want to give the information and have it available for people and they don't have to jump through a bunch of, hoops to go get it, right? They don't have to click on a website, they have to go to other things. It's just right there in front of them. But you make it so long, then, they're just not going to be interested in reading it.
Yeah, I think we should try to get it down to a single page, and I haven't had a chance to review it beyond now, but I think we kind of are repeating ourselves a little bit, and maybe if we can get it down, because what people need to know is they're harmful. We're making a proposition to eliminate them in the township, and we want your feedback, and we need to say that much more concisely.
And I didn't know if what we were doing with graphics for it. I mean, right now it's plain some sort of informational graphic might be, as good as a paragraph or two, right? And then my final thing was, besides this, so we had kind of the link to go to this idea of them going, and I guess that was, provide additional information. Or provide as comments and suggestions. I think you said, would we set up like a survey monkey or something? Ask people, have some ideas on getting feedback from people on certain ideas that we put forth, and maybe that could be part of the link.
We did ask feedback at this link for our comments on the proposal.
Yeah, I wonder if there's some questions that we could ask at the link, or if it would just be enter your feedback.
Yeah, I was thinking the simpler we do it, the easier it is. So I was thinking if we can take feedback, we can always do a subsequent survey as we get further down but I thought it would be nice to just start getting some feedback, early feedback on this.
I mean, it could still be short. It's up to you, but yeah, I mean, it could be 4 questions, do you support a plastic bag ban? Would you support a ban on more Okay.
It's
You know,
yeah, it's going
other
to be a lot
plastic.
easier to analyze a few closed choice questions than it is just a here, give us endless open-ended feedback.
Yeah, because this will download into just
Yeah,
a
it's a
survey.
Google form, so you can output it to just a spreadsheet.
Yeah, so I guess the negative to that is if we get all negative comments, what are we going to do? Are we going to change our mind and not pursue this? So I guess I didn't want to open that door for finding out that we have a resistant, that the only people who respond are the people against it. Unless you can make sure you get it out to enough people, the random ones are the ones who decide to answer might be the ones that are against it. So I don't know that we've got a distribution method here that will make sure we get a fair coverage of everyone. I mean, I just, Farron said, for the fact that if we're already in favor of doing the ban, we don't really need to do a survey because we've already decided that's the best thing, for the township. So I think asking for feedback is fair, and we've already, made our position statement at the beginning or in the overview document as to what we're doing. So, if somebody's against it, they'll put it in their comments. We've got enough surveys from Doylestown, Westchester, Radnor, Narberth, and Easttown. We don't need to do another survey.
I'm confused. Are we not doing this survey then?
Not that format. The only survey we're doing here is feedback. This kind of feedback, these questions.
That's it?
We put out our statement of what we're doing. That's what Farron recommended, is that we've already decided we're going to do the ordinance, or we want to. We don't need to do a survey of the pros and cons. So it's better to ask for just comments and input to the study.
Well, I don't know if I was thinking survey on pros and cons. I'm not exactly sure what that would be. I was wondering about the plastic bags versus straws, or if we were considering other plastics and what the various levels of support were for those different disposable plastic items.
Okay, so if we add those two questions, we could say, are you in favor of a plastic bag, single-use plastic bag ban? I guess I don't want to get too far down the road of making it too complex, because again, Farron has mentioned this to all the Montgomery County teams working on this, that we don't need to do a survey if we've already decided we're going forward. It's better just to get direct public feedback, because the substitute here for this form is the idea that you've made the decision to do the ordinance, you're going to the public meeting 60 days ahead of, or 2 meetings ahead of the actual passing of the ordinance. And that's when public normally comes in and gives you feedback during that public meeting. So we're front ending this by asking for feedback ahead of that public meeting. So I think that's part of our study, is to take those comments. So you're right. I think maybe the overview document for what we're proposing to do would be good to put in front of the group. So if this shortens down to just being what we're doing and what we're asking for, then maybe we could just ask for feedback at the link.
So I have a question. If we have people coming to the link. Are we going to be validating them by their email or their address or anything like that? So that, we know it's just one person with one email, or because there may be people that might want to skew the comments for whatever reason.
Yep, you're right. It's a weakness. It's a weakness.
I mean, if we're not using it as a survey poll and presenting numbers on it per se, we're just collecting comments. Does it matter if it's one person with, 5 pages of comments or 50 people? I guess I
Oh,
don't know.
no, I
Are we
mean-
presenting it that way?
Like, is there going to be a way? So like when they do the voting emails and things like that for the contest, you can only use that email once. Because, you may have people that, they like plastic bags, or you might have businesses that might encourage their customers to complain about it for whatever reason. I mean, just a thought. I do surveys all the time.
No, you're right. You're right, Carolyn. It's important that we know what we're going to do with this data and how it can help us. I think my thought was that if we used it in lieu of waiting for the public meeting, and how many people are actually going to be able to make that public meeting or all show up, this gives us a wider cut at the township to get input to the process. So I was thinking we use these comments to inform council as to what type of feedback they can expect at that public meeting and be more informed so that we have responses that will be appropriate at the meeting. In some sense, it just kind of gives us a feel. You're right, though, it could be skewed by people who, want to take a position against it or in favor of it, and they could pummel us with, all these extra input.
I think there's going to be a way that when you get maybe I was just going over the edge a little bit, but, when you get the responses, you'll be able to sort of see if there's like duplicate votes or whatever. Like if you make it so they have to at least put their street address down there, then that's going to validate it right there.
Yeah, so part of it, we made these required fields: name, email, address, optional phone number, gave them a chance to tell us what the role is in Plymouth. Are you responding, as a business or other? And then your comments on the issue of single-use plastics, and then giving them a chance if they want us to contact them or keep them informed. So let's say we come up with the draft ordinance, is that something we can, or is there any information we can send them as we make progress to the study, or do we have to wait until the ordinance is presented in public? Because, I guess that's the question, if we were able to let people see the draft, would we get input to it that would help make it stronger or help it, because people might catch something that they see in the ordinance? And
well, if you have something for public comment, doesn't that information have to be made available so many days before it's open for public comment or not?
that's a good question. I can't remember what they said about the publication of the draft. I guess when the public meeting is announced, So there are two public meetings. The first public meeting would be the presentation of the ordinance to the public. But you're right, how far in advance of that meeting do they display that or, publish that ordinance? I don't know.
I just forget because, and maybe it's different with zoning, but I remember when the crematorium was going to be built, that a lot of people got up in arms because they weren't notified enough in advance of, the proposed crematorium on Walton Road. Now that's zoning, so maybe it's different, but I would think there would be some kind of process for public comments that maybe the ordinance could be made available online through the township.
Yeah, and that's what I was almost thinking, that we could use this email. If people want to let us know, we could let people know when it's published on the township website.
I think that would be a good idea.
That could be a period of time before the first public meeting. Because I know that Ambler, or one of the townships, Lower Merion or Ambler, presented put their first draft forward, and now they're rewriting it. So I don't know if they actually put it in front of the public and then got feedback and rewrote it, or if it was an internal township discussion that made an adjustment. So they're going back and doing a second draft of it. So
and the other thing I was thinking, Bill, is don't you think this should be really just addressed primarily to Plymouth residents, not people that shop in Plymouth? I think that opens up a whole can of worms there.
So this is a multiple choice question. So you're right. The audience is the residents. How about we change the question? I am a resident and shop in the township, or I don't know.
I would just take it out, the shopping thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
If people are seeing this through the sewer bill, they wouldn't get it otherwise. Right? You'd have to be a resident. I mean, because will the link to this be somewhere else, though?
Well, that's a good question. So we could also publish this on the township website, right? Just to make it more accessible. So if people missed it in their sewer bill or their business bill, it might be reasonable to have it accessible from the township website, and have this announced at a public meeting. So in some sense, people are aware of what's going on. And yes, we would put directions. Maybe we put up the front, this is for Plymouth Township residents and businesses to reply, so that we don't get people outside of the township. So we can make that change.
And you can also think about posting it to some of the local area Facebook pages to get, let people know that something will be in their sewer bill or whatever. And if they want to do the survey or get more information, go to the website, go to the township website.
Bill, I'm also wondering, given your thought that it'd be nice to get in front of issues if there are issues. So before people show up at a public reading of the ordinance, it'd be nice to know if people are up in arms about the prospect of banning plastic bags. And I think that's smart. I'm wondering if, given that, the question in here should be more direct, like rather than having an open-ended, what are your comments about single-use plastics? What if the question is specifically like, would you support banning single-use plastic bags in the township? Would you support banning, potentially, would you support banning other single-use plastics in the township, such as, and I think people would be like, well, what does that mean? So, you might put in parentheses what that means. But would it, I'm only just getting involved, so I don't know all the intent behind the survey, but would it be helpful to know if people specifically get behind this or will stand in the way of it?
Okay, that's what I think Andy and Eunice are suggesting also. Say, do you support or single use? So part of the wording of the questions. So if you weren't kind of, so that's maybe why the 2-pager of education with the links to the articles about the damage of plastics is that if we don't educate the public as to the value of this, I'm a little worried that the simple question response is simply saying, no, I don't. Why should I?
I'm not saying we don't educate the public at all, but we have to educate them in a much briefer fashion. And, maybe some of the links could be at the top of the survey or in what goes on the township website with the link to the ordinance to educate people. But my point was about the 1-pager is if it's too long and it takes us till the second side to get to our ask and telling people what we're doing, they're not going to read it.
And they generally, yeah, I think when people get something in the mail, they give it a quick glance. And
especially with a bill, like we pull out, well, here's the payment coupon and I'm going to go pay this. And the rest goes in the shredder, right? Like, at least that's what happens at my house.
Yeah. No, that's fair. So what if we use the short insert in the sewer bill to also link to this 2-pager? So in a sense, we have the more full education document available, but we get the brief in there just to get people, interested in what we're doing. So I agree with you, make it short and sweet, but then we could link back to this document, which would have all of the articles in it. And also then we can keep that electronic document more up to date, and we don't have to reprint and resend every time we update it. So we could have this resource document, be a dated document that we would adjust as we learn more and add more ammunition to the reasons for doing this.
so just a quick question. Doesn't the township have almost everyone's email at this point?
No, I don't think so. The community center used to do emails, but they stopped sending that. So I haven't found out why they didn't keep it up. But I've never been asked to give my email to the township for tax or being a resident.
Yeah, at one point, maybe a long time ago, they were thinking about doing a newsletter for the township through Constant Contact. And I thought then they were collecting emails.
Yeah, I never heard that go forward. They may have thought about it at one point, but didn't pursue it.
Well, I think you just keep it short and simple and put the small thing in the sewer bill or whatever, and then direct them to more information. But the thing that I worry about is, we're all vested in this and we're on the phone and we're talking about it. But, your average Joe is not really going to want to go through, a paper on why we shouldn't use plastic. Like, I think when we start to present it, we're going to have to get a little bit clever and maybe start putting posts out like, hey, by the way, do you know how much it costs us with these plastic bags when they get stuck in the recycling machine? Or that kind of stuff. I mean, play the car license plate game, but count how many plastic bags you see on the street instead of, you know, your license plates or that kind of stuff. Because if you entertain them a little bit, they're going to think about it a little bit more, even if they think we're just crazy. I mean, you have to make it so it's going to resonate with people and it'll be important, because most people just put their bags in the little box at the grocery store and they think that they've done a good deed. Like, they don't see the point of banning this stuff.
Yeah, and that's why I was not leaning towards asking these questions directly in the survey, only because unless we know the person is brought up to speed and we kind of make sure, you know, that they have a fair view of this, I think that making it the simple questions and feedback was the idea that, well, we'll start seeing which people are really motivated to kind of interact with us. And then maybe that will help lead us to, maybe we do a presentation at some point and, you know, announce it ahead of the public meeting and offer, you know, a community touch point. Say, you know, we've gotten this far with the study. Here's what we've learned so far. Here's the other townships in the county that are doing this. We're all working together. You know, I don't know. This is a tough call, you know, as to what's the, you know, I don't want to, you know, weaken our interest in this. And yet, you know, I want to hear your concerns and make sure we get the right balance of this. But also, given that we're all so busy, you know, I don't know that we've got a lot of capacity to redraft all of this in the next, you know, week. So unless, you know, somebody feels like they could really do a decent job on rewriting that overview.
Bill, I can cut the overview down significantly.
Okay. All right, that'd be a great big help, Eunice. I know you've got a good feel for how to communicate. So gladly accept your offer. Thank you.
I'd like to bring up another concern.
Yep.
I know anecdotally that a main argument against plastic bag bans is that it disproportionately affects lower income residents. And I think there's a lot of good counter arguments to that, and that's not the case. However, is there a concern that if we're sending this communique through the sewer bill, that it will only reach homeowners and not the residents of the township who rent? And I'm wondering, what else can we do to make it clear that we've tried to reach out to these constituents?
Well, I think that was one of the reasons I suggested doing it on the community web pages. You know, you have quite a few, I know, in Plymouth. Some are actually political. So we would have to be careful of where we post it. But, you know, and you do have the people that are influencers and that would spread the word. So you can get that, you know, the word out that way. And I don't know, Lynn, do you know if the council people have like a constituents contact list of some sort? I mean, I have a newsletter around here just in 3.1 that I could share it on electronically, but
Yeah.
I don't know who else does.
Yeah, I know some of the council members have like a Facebook page where they share things with constituents. You know, we could ask if they would be interested in sharing it. I think that's a great idea, Carolyn. I mean, if there's a, you know, like if there's a 3.1 newsletter, that's a great place to put it for 3.1. We'd have to think about how we cover other places that don't have newsletters, but council member Facebook pages might be one.
I think once you just get it out there on social media, because he's right, like if you rent,
Yeah.
you know, they're not going to look at it, and my sewer bill, I pay, you know, through my bank. So sometimes I don't even look at the sewer bill. I think we should be prepared to have some sort of presentation or whatever at the community day. But I think the first thing is to get something out and then start to build on where we can make use of getting the information out there. I mean, you can even do like the local newspapers too. You know, I mean, you just do a little bit of drop a few lines there. And if you're a resident, you can go to the township webpage for comments.
The patch, the online newsletter.
Yeah, the patch is really good for getting the word out.
Yeah.
And we could have a series of links or posts, and anyone that wants to could put it on their own personal Facebook. We could share it on Nextdoor. Probably, you know, a lot of other ways we could
Yeah.
look at the flyer up if there's still any bulletin boards anywhere. So you're right. I think getting out in front of the public is you know, we do the best we can. The public meeting, I think the way the ordinance is written, or the way that you guys draft ordinances, you know, having that public meeting in front of the adoption of it gives people a chance. That's supposed to be published in some sort of newspaper, so it's in front of all the public. So I guess these questions here, you know, maybe just coming back to this real quickly, I don't know what we do with that, you know, in a sense, because if it turns out that the people who respond are the ones against it, you know, we're going to have a high number of no's, and what are we going to do with that? We're going to tell the public we're going to go ahead anyway. I mean,
Yeah,
Well,
but
is the point of the survey to anticipate what the objections might be so that you can respond or adjust? Or is the point of the survey to say, hey, are there people in favor of it? And if they say they're not, are we going to not go ahead with it? And so I think, you know, if we make that call going into it, then you say, hey, this is feedback so we can anticipate, or here's something we didn't think of and we can refine. But if it's not driving the decision to do it, then that makes it reasonably simple what you're going to do with the feedback.
right. So here we could add to this intro. We could say your feedback will help us just draft policies to help limit single use. Would that be a reasonable ask?
I think we just ask them for their feedback and don't offer anything into it. Because the more questions you ask or the more things you say, the more you open yourself up. I mean, you know, I would just keep it simple, ask for their feedback, period. And how we decide to use it is our business. But, you know, that way you can get ideas. I mean, there's a lot of people that walk dogs that, you know, they grab extra, you know, they used to be able to, they can't do it now, but they get the plastic bags at the stores. And then a lot of people use them to dispose of, you know, both adult and children diapers too. You know, especially in the apartment buildings where they have to be bagged before they go into the trash rooms.
So, okay, so I think responding to Eunice, I was trying to avoid including this type of question because I don't know that we want to get negative responses. And instead, I was trying to orient this to say, we'd like your input to help us work on. But you're saying this gives too much away, Carolyn, to say that we want to limit single-use plastics?
No, but your feedback will help us draft policies. You know, I mean,
Yeah, I think you could leave that part out and just say, you know, we're doing this. We're asking for your feedback. We don't have to say what we're going to do with the feedback because it's probably obvious.
yeah.
So is this another way to say it?
You could get rid of that whole,
That
That
whole
whole
thing, we
sentence.
just want your feedback. What do you think?
yeah.
Okay, so then we'll just say for your feedback right here. And then we can take this out, right?
Yep.
All right. Negotiation by committee. So Ben and Andy, what don't you like about it?
I mean, it's okay with me. It's here. Soliciting feedback and doing surveys is not my something I have experience on. So, you know, if Carolyn and others have more experience and think this works, that's fine.
Yeah, we don't. None of it. We're kind of making this up as we go. So we're all like throwing this into the wind. You know, we're all volunteers. This is not our main business. So I think we could be making some faux pas, no matter which way we go. So I guess we're just trying to come to some consensus together that this would be an okay. It may not be the best, but it's an okay way to get information out to the public. Maybe that's really what I was thinking the purpose of this would be.
I mean, I think it's a good start. And, you know, you're going to get some information, and information is always knowledge. So it's a good way to start what we want to know, what these people think about it. You know, I don't think we're going to do a whole lot of education this way. But I think you're going to get an idea, and you'll probably develop an email list, which would definitely be beneficial going forward.
And if we do get some emails, then if we get the opportunity to do this presentation at some point with what we've learned, we could use it to contact those people, you know, in addition to announcing it ahead of time.
Right.
So I guess
I like that.
Yep. Sorry.
I just want to hop onto that. I think that's a great idea, and I think we should have an opt-in question on the form. Say, or would you like to receive emails about more information in the future? So that it's not so that it's
right there, isn't it?
So this question is this a reasonable way to say that, Ben?
Oh, I missed that.
Right here.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's opt-in.
Mm.
There's no doubt that the person is opting in to get more information. I think that's good.
Okay, good.
Overall, I think it's a good survey. I think that the best outcome is that we see some arguments that we can start to use our resources to prepare counter arguments against.
Yep.
And then if we get a bunch of support and that's all we get, that's really good. That'll really smooth the way for us. My only concern overall is that if having a survey like this exposes us to like bad actors, we talked about someone coming in and posting many different results or even trying to skew the information. I think as long as we protect ourselves against that, that's not too much a concern. The other concern I brought up is opening this up for some pseudo form of public comment, but not, if we do that, even though it's not the official public comment, we need to ensure that we're not or they're reaching the entire public. And we discussed that at length. If we have all these different avenues and someone challenges that, we can say, we did send it in sewer bills, but we also sent it to this, and this. We made our very best attempt to reach everybody. Those are my two concerns, and I think we're okay there.
Yeah, and I think, in a sense, maybe in the way we position this, asking for feedback for our study, is researching how we can help Plymouth Township reduce the use of single-use plastics. We are asking residents and businesses for your feedback. The feedback is to us as an environmental board. We aren't implying that this is the township or that this is, it would inform us to advise the council, say, here's the feedback we received from the public so far. So I guess I'm trying to walk that line, like you said, not to make this a formal public comment on this, until the public comment period takes place. If it's for our use in the study, you do think that's okay?
Yeah, I think the way we phrase everything is very thoughtful and makes that clear.
All right. Well, we're making this up as we go. All right. So, Eunice, you're going to help us rewrite this to be a one pager.
Yep.
And so then can we keep this 2-pager, do you think, in another format? Maybe take out the stuff that you put in so I guess I'm trying to kind of keep a resource document together that we would.
I think we should just be realistic about how many people are going to read it. I guess that's my only point here.
Yeah, no, in terms of what you're writing, that would be the communication that goes out to the public. But I think when people link back in from a township website or a Facebook post or things like that, that's where we could use links to more in-depth documentation. And that's where I was trying to say, what if we had a document that kind of captured the reasons and the results from our study, so that would be the accumulating body of knowledge that we could decide if we want to share it back with the public. But in a sense, I think that there is some useful information here that if we put the shorter insert in the sewer bill, it'll be missed. So I'm still looking for a way to allow people.
You can keep it. I'm just saying, I'm not saying don't keep it. I'm just saying most people aren't going to, if we want this for our own reference or to point people to the anticipated handful that have more questions, I think that's great. And then you can just keep it as is.
Yep. And we could even maybe add to it as we learn more, as we grow in our research and our understanding. We could put in things like, here's the number of municipalities that are doing this or whatever. We have a little small section here, multiple other Montgomery County municipalities. So, okay. So then the insert that you're writing would have a link back to the feedback form.
Oh, yeah, I think that's what Eunice is writing, but I'm just thinking about something, Bill. That link to Google's Docs is really long.
Yeah, and I agree. I didn't mean to leave it this way. So because I was updating both those documents so often, the link kept changing. So rather than keep replacing the link in here, but when we finally go to publish it to the public, I think we can create a very short URL that will be, a fixed URL that we can then use. So yes, this will be edited to be a better better looking URL.
If you can go to, there's a site called Tiny URL.
Yeah.
Right.
And you could do that, including making up your own name for it. So it actually has a name that actually means something versus an assortment of letters and numbers.
Yep.
Bill, I would also offer this, just thinking about your one pager, and I offer this not as a member of council, but as a person who does a lot of communication work. I think Eunice is spot on. I would keep it to a page. And I think if you want anybody to read it, I would embed some of Carolyn's suggestions. I think make it really user-friendly, even like provocative, like have bold highlights that make somebody want to read the little paragraph underneath it, or put it in a Q&A format. So like, here's the question, answer. Like I said, some provocative headline that makes somebody read the fact, that like it jams up the machines, or that all those bags I think I'm recycling at the grocery store are actually getting, tossed in the incinerator. So I mean, anything to make people want to go like, what? Well, what was that? Like, if you want them to read it at all. But I think you're exactly right in keeping some of your reference material separate, because you have a lot of really great material and information. But in terms of educating the public, I think unless you get their attention, short attention span theater, like they're going to read 3 lines of that.
Yeah, and you can do it like, the why, what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we're going to do it. And keep it pretty simple like that. Because, I mean, I'll tell you, the township has been writing for years not to recycle plastic bags. And I walk the dogs, and there are plastic bags in those recycle cans every single week. Because, people don't want to get their recycle bins dirty, or they think they're doing you a favor, but they just don't really get it. I had someone tell me that she rolls her bags up and puts them inside her milk jugs because they're the same kind of plastic. And she thinks she's helping.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a shame.
So you got to make it, you have to make it sticky. It's got to stick in their brain. You got to engage them so they want to know more. You can't, you don't want to preach to them because the choir already knows. So you got to preach to, the people that don't know.
Yep. Good. Yeah, make it catchy and bring people in. All right. So then I will reach out to Karen Weiss tomorrow to find out when the sewer bill process needs to start, and so that we know how long we need to print and collate and get it ready for mailing, and to make sure they get it in time. So I guess, Eunice, we're under a little bit of a gun to get this new document together as soon as we can. I don't know what your capacity is.
Give me a couple days and I'll get it back to you.
Okay, great. Yeah, and share it with a group, or put it in the in the folder if you want, and send a link to everybody. That'd be great. All right, so we'll start with this. As crude as it is, let's see what kind of feedback we get, and we'll learn from it if we ever do public outreach again. But I think also it may help our relationship with our township stakeholders, because some townships just come and bring the ordinance up and may not have had a lot of time to get feedback. So in a sense, I was hoping that this would bring some collaboration with our community, but I could be wrong.
No, I think you're right, Bill. I think it's gonna open up the doors to a lot of conversations.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been heavily involved in this plastic sort of thing for years. And, I have, a lot of people that I talk to, and I tell them, what my experiences are. And I spent 25 years in the trash business. So, I have that backup. But so I already have conversations with people, but I think that if we open up that door to having more conversations, we can build relationships, and we can make, other people, influencers, and kind of spread the word.
Yep, you're right. I think we can. And if we get the emails from people, we can send them back out that education document or link to the education documents.
Right.
Here's what we are learning so far. And, just, so I think it'll help us create more, hopefully more supporters as we go. I did call Giant just to see if I could do some data collection, and at least I found out that they use each case of plastic bags is 200 per case, and they go through 25 to 30 cases a week at the Chemical Road Giant. So what's 30 times 200? 6,000. So if
That's all they go through is 6,000 bags.
in a week, so if you put that across a year, that's 300,000, and that's one store. And we look at all the stores in Plymouth. So, given the average that this study is a national average, 365 bags per person per year. So if we look at what that would be in Plymouth, there's 6 million possibly, and 600,000 bags, being generated or being used in Plymouth just from these single-use items. So that's a pretty significant number.
Bill, you could do a little graphics or an infogram or something like that. And I mean, I'm probably getting ahead of myself, but you can say, oh, well, do you think it doesn't matter or whatever? Or here's why it matters. Okay. The average person uses so many plastic bags per week or whatever, times that by a year or whatever, and then you're going to wind up with 6 million bags in Plymouth Township. Yeah, now it does matter.
Yep. So that's pretty catchy. I don't know if you think that'd be worth including, Eunice, in your publication.
I would do a little infogram. She dropped off, but there are little things that you can do to engage the public, and I've done that before. So I do have some experience with getting that information out.
And maybe Carolyn, that could be a separate document that we could link to on our website, and that way then we can send it out to the people after they fill in the feedback form. Or we could point people to a page on the EAB. We could have a page on the EAB page that's the plastics collection of information. How's that? Because then we can update that as we feel fit, and we don't have to email it back out. We can just keep that up to date.
I think that's a good idea. I think the main thing we have to do right now is get the flyer out and get the survey started. You guys have done all the big work. Thank you. And you have the numbers and you have the information, and you're going to have two groups of people. In the three groups, you're going to have the people that still think they can recycle. You're going to have the people that go to Aldi and have always gone to those kind of stores, and they're used to bringing their own bags, and then you're going to have the people at Whole Foods that would stop shopping at Whole Foods if they started to offer plastic bags. So, you kind of got three different groups that you got to sort of get their feedback.
Yep.
But we need to get the feedback out. We need to get the information out, and then we can work on layering it and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yep. Good. All right. So that was the main goal, was to get this new draft ready for end of March sewer bills, and see if we can get that mailing to businesses also. And then whatever that communication is, we can at least link to it, on these other media. We've got the township website, Facebook, community center can be added to meeting agendas, and then in the fall newsletter. And if there is still a community center email, that's kind of a question mark on that.
They
So-
do have one because I just got something from them today.
Okay, all right, so there is some format for that. So yeah, we can send it out through that too. So we can contact them to do that. All right, so then based on the number of inputs we're going to receive in this feedback, I guess, we can periodically look at the queue and see what's coming in to our queue, and then maybe we can talk about it at our meetings. And if we see anything that catches our eye ahead of time, we can send an email around and say, what do you think about this response? That type of thing.
I think that would be good. I mean, you could do like, once you get the information, it's going to come to you in an Excel sort of dump. And then you can take that information and you can do like, if you want to do a pivot table or something like that, and you can see, you can rank what people think, or what's the biggest response, what's not the biggest, what really matters, and sort of, you can play with the data and really tell a story with it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, right now it's all text. We've got the only choice fields are the resident versus business, and so in some sense we have a harder time processing this data in a graphical format because it's all going to be textual comments. So, but I guess that's what we'll get. Draft ordinance. I guess this is a good question. We have the model ordinance. Is this something, I forgot to ask Lynn, whether, the township can start working on it with the solicitor, or do we have to send something in? Because I know that I included it in the packet that went to council for the workshop, but I don't know if there's going to be a conveyance of that to the solicitor to say, when can you start drafting it? Because there were some things in there that it's a fill in the blank type of template, and there's a certain numbering order, and I didn't want to take a guess at what the township wants to do for numbering. So I just, think that if the solicitor is willing to take and draft it the way he normally drafts it, but I guess that's a question for the township.
Yep, I can ask that. I've got a short list of things I said I would check on. I'll put that on my list.
Thank you.
Bill, you had mentioned also talking to Karen Weiss. Just so you know, Karen Weiss is actually, she just left on a 2-week vacation.
Oh, how about that? Good.
So you won't catch her, but I would be happy to take the question about the timing for getting the insert in the sewer bill. I'll put that on my list, and I'll see if I can dig out some answers even in Karen's absence.
All right, that'd be great. And then the business question with mailing would be helpful also.
Mhm.
And then maybe I'll email Linda, her assistant, and just ask if I can have direct contact with the sewer bill guy, just to start a connection. Or would you rather we wait for you?
No, go for it. I mean, I was going to start with Linda for a few of these things and then see where we get routed for any other answers, but
Okay, I'll
No
copy
worries.
you. I'll copy you on what I send. If I send something to Linda, I'll copy you so you know what I'm asking. And
I'll do the same.
yeah, okay, cool. Great. All right. Any other comments? I think we talked about the trees, park. Oh, I didn't reach out to the shade tree group. I actually don't see a board on the township website that talks about a shade tree or parks group. So I don't know, is there a citizen board, or how is it organized?
There's a park rec and shade tree is together.
Is that an official township?
is. Citizen board. Mhm.
Oh, it is? Because I didn't find, did I find it on the website?
I think it's there. I'm going to look just to be sure as I'm saying that, but I think it's listed on the website. And Karen Bramblett is actually the council liaison to that group.
So I was looking under this menu,
Mhm.
and I went down to citizen boards, and unless this is just Oh, okay, so there's a property. Oh, here
There
it
we
is.
go.
I'm sorry, I
Park,
didn't scroll.
park,
I
yeah, Park Rec and
didn't
Shade
scroll
Tree.
down far enough. Gotcha. All right, I can reach out. That's another, maybe I'll ask Linda for, maybe the chair's contact information. Oh, and Karen's already, you're right, Karen is our contact, so. She may have already mentioned it to him, but maybe it doesn't hurt for me maybe to email and just ask, or I'll email Karen. How about that? I'll email Karen. And I'll copy Rick because Rick had some connection to that the last time we got together 2 years ago. All right. Any other topics that anybody wanted to bring up or mention?
I have one, Bill.
Yeah, Ben.
I came across a cleanup, a park cleanup happening. It looks like it's actually in White Marsh, but it was on the Colonial School District community page, Wells Street Open Space Cleanup. I'll send the link in the chat. It's April 9th. Has anyone heard of that
No, I haven't.
event? So that maybe it might be something we could advertise on our Facebook page.
Yeah, that
I
sounds
just
good.
pasted the link to it. And it may be, well, I'll be curious to see who's organizing that and see if there's any way we can team up with them for similar events.
Yeah, no, that's great to have another connection.
That's all I had.
Thanks. Good find. Well Street cleanup. How about that? All right. Well, great discussion tonight. Thanks for the feedback and the ideas, and we'll see what we come up with, won't we?
It's good stuff.
Bill?
It'll be an adventure.
Yeah,
Andy?
thanks for all your work on this. I think you're doing a great job.
Well, we're trying to formulate it together. Thanks for your input, Carolyn. Andy, did you have something you wanted to bring up?
Nothing new. Just on your agenda there, you had the Township Day. I was wondering if you needed to, or if we needed to reach out and make sure we get a table at that and I don't know when they work out that assignment.
Yeah, I'm
But I
pretty,
think next month we should plan on having a longer conversation on this and try to plan it out, because if we wait till May, it's a couple weeks before and
well,
we'll
you're right. Doesn't give
throw
us
it together.
time to prepare. You're right. Yeah. So that'll be our topic for our next meeting, would be to make sure we know what we want to do to prepare for that. Thank you. And I'm confident that Rick has kept us in mind, that we do want a table. We've talked about the last couple of months. So, but I will verify that he knows we're going to be in. Thank you. All right. So appreciate everybody's time tonight. Are we ready to close?
I'll make a motion to close.
And I'll second. I don't get off to do that very often. Ben, thanks for your work on the minutes.
Yep, sure. Got them out a little sooner this month.
Yep, that sounds good. Oh, did I remember to copy you on an email to Linda, the township?
No, I haven't seen one. And I think that's in regards to having them posted on the
Yeah,
website.
I meant to do that. That's probably something I had started and somehow it dropped. So I will make sure I get that together to show you how we just send a copy to her and she gets it on the website or through.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a great week, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and we'll catch up with you again soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thanks all. Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Bye-bye.
Good night.